So this week we have Parshas Lecha, and one of the themes throughout Parshas Lecha, as we go through the second half of the Parsha, is the Mitzvah of Bris Milah, which is very chaviv in the Krohn Mishpacha. The Mitzvah of Bris Milah, the first one who had a Bris Milah was Avram Avinu, and he performed his own bris. As a matter of fact, my father says over a lot of times in his drushes that when he went to the Ma'aras HaMachpelah for the first time, it's a very overwhelming feeling. You're in a place where the Avos HaKadoshim are buried, that you learn about them when you learn Chumash, when you learn Tanakh, when you learn Chazal. So it's an overwhelming feeling to be in the Ma'aras HaMachpelah. But he said more than any other of the Avos and Imais, he was overcome with emotion by the kever of Avram Avinu. And he said, because Avram Avinu was the first mile, and my father is a mile. And whenever he says this in a drasha, people laugh hysterically as if he's telling a joke that Avram Avinu was the first mile, but it's a true hergish. Avram Avinu was the first one to be Mekayim, the Mitzvah of Bris Milah, and anyone who spends their life being Mekayim, the Mitzvah of Bris Milah, if that's their parnasa, they're doing Bris Milah, so they're following in the footsteps of Avram Avinu. So there's a great kasher in our mishpacha to the Mitzvah of Bris Milah, and therefore in this Chumash year I want to devote a little bit of time to the aside of the Mitzvah of Bris Milah and to see what messages we can internalize from this special Mitzvah. So in the pasuk where Avram Avinu is commanded to do a Bris Milah, it's Perek Yud Zayin, pasuk Aleph, it says, Hashem appeared to Avram, Vayomer Elav, Ani Kel Shakai. I am the Hashem whose name is Kel Shakai. His Halech Lefanai, walk in front of me, Vehayei Samim, and be perfect, be complete. And that Chazal Darshan, that Vehayei Samim is referring to the mitzvah of Bris Milah, as we see clearly in the Psukim, that was the tzivui that Avram Avinu was given at this time to Mekayim, the mitzvah of Bris Milah. And the Beis Halevi discusses, among other Svarim, the Beis Halevi here al Torah discusses why by the mitzvah of Bris Milah Hashem appears to Avram with the name Kel Shakai. Ani Kel Shakai, His Halech Lefanai Ve'ayei Samim. So he says a pshat, and then he says that he found that in the Sefer Teferes Yehonasan, he already says the same pshat. And that is because the name Shakai is, according to Midrashim, according to Chazal, Sha'amarti la'olami dai, that I said to the world, it's enough. That's Shakai. What does it mean that I said to the world it's enough? So the Beis Halevi says that there's really two aspects. Bekamos uve'echos, the quantity and the quality. Meaning, when the world was expanding in the Brias HaOlam, at some point Hashem said, die, that's it. The land should go only till here, or the water should go only till here and no more. The world should go only till where earth is, and that's it. Everything in the world has its limitations. That's Shamati La'ilamidai. But it's also in the echos of the world, in the quality. When we have tavua that is grown, grass and plants, things that are grown from the ground, the shleimus of the thing to make it roi, to be used in the world, for example, to get a loaf of bread, that doesn't grow from the ground. We don't grow from the ground loaves of bread. We grow wheat, which is mixed with water and makes a flour, and then it has to be baked. To get to the final product, there's a certain limitation in what the world produces. Then people have to bring the final product to fruition. So that's Shamati Lo'ilami Dai, not just in the quantity, in the size of the world, but also in the quality, in what the world produces. The Gemara says in Shabbos Daf Lamed Amid Beis that La'asid Lavai, the ground is going to produce gluskois, uklei milas, that the world is going to produce cakes, ready-made loaves, ready to be eaten, and kalim that are made out of fine silk that are ready. You don't need to work on. But that's La'asid Lavai. The world as we have it today is not a world that produces final products, finished products. We take the raw materials, or we take the grain and the plants that grow, and we're able to bring the materials. That's all included in the idea of the name Shakai, Sha'amarti Lo'ilami Dai. If that's the case, says the Beis Halevi, that in the midst of Bris Milah, Hashem specifically appeared to Avram Avinu with this shame, Ani Kel Shakai, to show that Hashem created a man, but did not perfect the man. Hashem said, die, this is enough. I want a person to be born as an Arel. So what about the shleimus of the person that comes with the Bris Milah? That I want the person himself to bring the shleimus, to bring the perfection. And he's Mitzvah in the Chazal, it's a medrash in Parshas Tazria, a Yalkut in Parshas Tazria, that Turnus Rupas Harasha asked Rabbi Akiva, Im Ritzoinai Bemulim, if Hashem wants that people should be circumcised, Mipnei Ma Eina Adam Noilad Mohol. Why are most people not created Mohol? So what's the answer to that question? Hashem didn't create a person mahol, but Lamaisa Hashem wants us to be mahol. He commanded us with the mitzvah. So the answer is that Hashem wanted the shleimus to come al yedei Adam. So Anikel Shakai hints already to the answer to that question, which is that Hashem wanted us to be perfect human beings, but He didn't create us perfect. He created us imperfect because He wanted the perfection to come through man. And in that medrash that Turnus Rupus Arasha asked Rabbi Akiva, why wasn't the person created mahol? So Rabbi Akiva answered him, as is quoted in the Medrash, a lashon that appears in a number of different midrashim. Shaloi nasan Hakadosh Baruch Hu mitzvahs liyisrael elo letzarif bahem. Hashem gave mitzvahs to Yisrael letzarif bahem. Many different pshatim, what the Medrash could mean. There's a piece in the Nefesh HaChaim where he's marich about this, Reb Chaim Volozhiner, in Shar Beis, Perek Daled. But the pshat, according to most Mefarshim, is letzarif, is a lashon of purify. And what does that mean? That means that the mitzvahs that a person has Hashem doesn't need us to do the mitzvahs. Hashem gave us the opportunity to purify ourselves through the mitzvahs. And all mitzvahs purify a person, but specifically the mitzvah of Bris Milah, to perfect that element where a person is created with a guf that's not shalom, that's not perfect, and we perfect it, we bring the shleimus al yedei ourselves. So that is letzarif b'hem, that is to purify the person, that a person brings the shleimus of the bria called Adam himself. Hashem doesn't create him perfect. Hashem creates him shamarti la'olam idai. I said only until here, only with an arla. With a man is created as an arel. But then the shleimus comes al yedei Adam, and this yisoid that the shleimus of the guf comes al yedei Adam, and that's why Hashem created a man imperfect so that we could perfect ourselves. This is a yisoid in avodas Hashem that not only the Beis Halevi says and the Teferes Yohainasan says as pshat in the mitzvah Bris Milah, but it's really mafurish in the Sefer HaChinuch. In Mitzvah Beis, which is the mitzvah of Bris Milah, the Sefer HaChinuch says, V'ratza liyos ha'hashlama al yedei ha'adam. Hashem wanted that the hashlama, the perfection of a man, should be through the Adam. V'loi b'roi shalem mibeten. And therefore He did not create him complete from when he's born. Lirmoi ze'elav, to hint to the person, Ki kasher tashlim tzuras gufay al yadai, just like physically the perfection comes through a man, through doing the Bris Milah, Kain biyadai lahashlim tzuras nafshay behechshe pu'ulaisav. Also our neshama becomes perfected, not naturally, but through our work, through the work of man. In other words, the message that we're supposed to internalize from Bris Milah is amarti la'olam idai. Hashem didn't create everything perfect. Hashem created it with the chance, with the ability to perfect itself. And that's with Adam Arishan. That's with the creation of man. A man was created in Aral, and then Hashem said to Avram Avinu, you're going to bring that shleimus into the Bria. Hisalech lefanai, what's the lashon? V'hayei samim, and you will be shalom, you will be complete. Because the shleimus of a person comes through the Bris Milah. And the Chiddush, the way the Sefer HaChinuch is saying it, is not just that the shleimus haguf comes through the Bris Milah, but that is to teach us, lirmois, to be meramis to the mensch, to be meramis to the person, that the way Hashem created an Adam is that we should bring about the perfection. And if it's true in the guf, in the physicality of a person, it's also true in the nefesh, in the spiritual madregas of a person, that's meramis, that Hashem created us imperfect, but if we work on ourselves, you work on your actions, you work on the way you deal with other people and the way you act towards Hashem, then that brings about the shleimus hanefesh, and that's something that we have to realize, that the mitzvah of Milah teaches us, that we have to work our whole life, not just to have a guf shalim, that the Moil took care of for us, but we have to make sure to make a nefesh, that shleimus, a ruchniistic shleimus, that we can attain in our life, and don't think, how could I bring shleimus? Whatever Hashem created me, that's what I am. No, Hashem created a person with the ability to bring the shleimus to his guf, and also to bring the shleimus to his nefesh. So that is a very important message to internalize in the mitzvah of Bris Milah, but it really goes beyond that as well. It's not just that the mitzvah of Bris Milah is a reminder to us that we could bring a shleimus. It also enables us, it helps enable us to bring shleimus, because there's a vart of the Oilolois Ephraim, which became famous by the Chuvas Rabbi Kiva Eger. Chuvas Rabbi Kiva Eger in Chelek Aleph Simim Mem Beis brings from the Oilolois Ephraim in Maimer Shin Sadi Beis, where the Oilolois Ephraim says that through the physical Bris Milah, through the Milah Chitzainis in the Guf HaAdam, a person is zoiche to have a spiritual Milah, to have a Milah Pnimis. Once the Arla is removed from a person, then he is already able to reach higher levels in Torah and the mitzvahs. It opens up the chadrei halev. It opens up the chambers of his heart. Lahavinu lahaskel Torah. The Oiles Ephraim says that the physical bris milah enables a person to remove the arlas halev and to connect to the chachma elyoina, the chachma of Torah and the kiyam mitzvahs, to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabbi Akiva Eiger says this is not just a vertel. This is something that's negea halacha l'maisa. In the tragic situation where a baby at the time of his bris milah does not have a father, that means that the father was nifter during the pregnancy or after the baby was born, but before the bris milah. If you ever see an Ashkenazi child who's named the same name as his father, they don't name after the living, so that means that the father was not alive at the time of the bris milah, Nebuch, a tragic situation. So the shaila came to Rabbi Akiva Eiger, who has the mitzvah to do the bris milah? There's no father around. Does it go to the mother? Does it go to the bezdin? So Rabbi Akiva Eiger paskin that the mitzvah goes to the grandfather, to avi aviv. If the grandfather is still alive, he is the one who takes over the mitzvah. And Rabbi Akiva Eiger says this is based on the Tzeidel Aderech. Tzeidel Aderech is one of the Svarim on Chumash, written by the same Achroin who wrote the Sefer Be'er Sheva on Shas. So he has a Pirush on Chumash called Tzeidel Aderech. And in Parshas Boi, he says that in all mitzvahs that a father has to do, if the father is not able to do it, like Milah or Pidyon Aben, so then it goes right to the grandfather, because of the klal of the Gemara in Yevamos, Daf Samach Beis, that says, B'nei banim harehem kabanim. So sons of your sons are like sons. So if the father can't do the mitzvah directly, then it goes to the avi av. That's in general by every mitzvah. Zok Rabbi Akiva Eiger, and befrat by the mitzvah of bris milah. And why is that? Because he says that the Oiles Ephraim says that through a milah, a person is able to connect to Torah better, lahavinu lahaskil, to understand Torah better. So who is responsible to teach this kid Torah? Father is mechuyev v'shinantam levanecha. But let's say the father can't teach Torah. There's a special chiyuv for the grandfather to teach Torah. Like it says, right, the Gemara in Kiddushin Daf Lamed Amud Aleph says that a person is mechuyev to teach ben benai Torah. So if you're mechuyev to teach ben benai Torah, and the Oiles Ephraim says that he's only able to open up the chambers of his heart to understand Torah correctly if he has a bris milah in the guf, so then you have a responsibility to give this kid a bris milah. So not just because of the klal of all mitzvahs of b'nei banim hareim kebanim, but specifically with the bris milah, to give the child a milah chitzainis. That's the responsibility of the grandfather, since that opens up his lave to be able to understand Torah on a higher level. That's the word of the Oiles Ephraim, with that ramification la halacha that the Tshuvas Rabbi Akiva Eiger says. Ba'al Kopanim, from the Oiles Ephraim, we see that the mitzvah bris milah is not just a siman. It's not just a message to us that teaches us that the shleimus could come through a person. It's also a siba. It also helps cause the shleimus. That madrega that we try to reach throughout our life, to connect to Hashem, to connect to His Torah and to His mitzvahs, that is helped through the mitzvah bris milah. Not just that the mitzvah bris milah reminds us that that's our job and that we have the ability, just like we had the ability to bring the shleimus in our guf, we have the ability to bring the shleimus in our nefesh. But part of that ability comes through the mitzvah of bris milah, which helps us connect. And this vart of the Oiles Ephraim is really, I found mefurish in a Medrash Tanchuma. It's interesting that the Achronim don't bring this, but there's a Medrash Tanchuma in Parshas Mishpatim in Ois Hey, where it talks about the story of Unkelis Hager, that Unkelis converted, and he asked the Eitzah of his uncle Adayanus, and at the end Adayanus says to him, if you wanted to learn Torah, so learn Torah, but why do you have to have a bris milah? Why do you have to circumcise yourself? That's what his uncle was very upset. So what did Unkelis answer? I want to learn Torah, but for that I had to do bris milah. Why? A person cannot be successful in battle without weapons. You need a weapon in order to be successful in battle. So too, if a person doesn't have a bris milah, then he can't learn Torah. As it says in Tehillim Kuf Mem Zayin, Magid Devarav LeYaakov, and the drasha of the Medrash is, Lemishehu Nimal Ke-Yaakov. Only someone who has a bris milah like Yaakov Avinu is able to learn Torah. So the same thing, Yemein Adam Nimal, En Yachalil My Torah. So what did Unkelis mean? It sounds like the weapons, in order to be Menatzeach and Milchama, you need weapons, you need a gun, you need a sword. So the same thing, in order to be Matzliach in Talmud Torah, you need a bris milah. according to the Oiles Ephraim, it's mamish move on kipshutai. That is the way you succeed in battle, when you're holding the weapon that helps you be strong and be successful in battle. The same thing, the way, how could I learn Torah, the Chachma El Yain of the Rebbeinu Shalom? I have an Arlas Halev. So the answer is, if you take away the Arlas Haguf, if you're Nimal, then you're able to learn Torah, and this could bring new meaning to what we say at a Bris. Kishem shenichnas la Bris, kein yikanes le Torah, lechuppah lemasim toivim. So Torah chuppah masim toivim is tam a bracha that we're giving the child, that he should be able to enter to limud Torah and eventually to his chuppah and masim toivim. But kishem shenichnas la Bris, kein yikanes le Torah has an added meaning now, that when he's nichnas la Bris, so he got rid of his Arlas Haguf, the Arla, the physical Arla, now he'd be able to be nichnas to Torah, to be able to understand Torah. And the truth is, it says in the Svarim that the Vilna Gaon was nifter on Yud Tes Tishrei, on Chol HaMoed Sukkos, and the Maskilim started cheppering the biggest Talmud of the Vilna Gaon, who was of course Reb Chaim Volozhiner, and they said, we know that the birthday of your Rebbe, of the Vilna Gaon, was Yud Beis Tishrei, a week ago. And it says in the Gemara Kedushin Daf Lamed Ches Amud Aleph that tzaddikim die on their birthday. So your Rebbe didn't die on his birthday, he died a week later. So you see that your Rebbe must not have been such a great tzaddik. So it's documented that Reb Chaim Volozhiner answered him that yes, the Vilna Gaon did not die on his birthday, but he did die on the exact day of his bris. Because if he was born on Yud Beis Tishrei, so a week later on Yud Tes Tishrei, that's when my Rebbe had his bris. Yud Tes Tishrei, it's the 8th day. So he was nifter mamish miyoim liyoim of the bris milah. And Moshe Rabbeinu was nifter mamish on his birthday, Zayin Adar, because he was noilad mahol. He was born with a bris. But my Rebbe wasn't born with a bris, so the day of his bris, that was the miyoim liyoim. So what did Reb Chaim Volozhiner mean to answer? Lamaisa, the Gemara says miyoim liyoim, from when the baby is born. It sounds like the day of the bris milah, that has significance, that the tzaddik would die miyoim liyoim. So on a simple level, you could just say, based on the Sefer HaChinuch and the Beis HaLevi, that the shleimus of a person, we said, comes from the bris milah. So when did my Rebbe become an Adam HaShalim? On Yud Tes Tishrei, that's when he had his bris milah. That's V'hayei Samim, then he became Tamim. If that's the case, so Miyoim Liyayim for that is also very significant. But according to the Oiles Ephraim, we could say a little tifer, that why was a person created? What does it say in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, Perek Beis? Im lamadta Torah harbe. If you learn a lot of Torah, al tachzik toivel atzmecha. Ki lakach noitzarta. The Tana is telling us, b'lashaynei hazav, why were you created? Lakach noitzarta, meaning to be loy-made Torah harbe, to learn a lot of Torah, to connect to Hashem through the chachma that Hashem gave over to us in His Torah. That is the purpose of creation of man, that a man should connect to Hashem through the Torah. The pasuk says, Adam la amal yulad. The Gemara in Sanhedrin Tzadi Tesamid Bey says, what amal is a person born for? La amal Torah, to work hard, to toil in Torah, in the chachma of Hashem Himself. So if that's the case, the purpose of the creation of man was what? To connect to Hashem through Limud HaTorah. If the Oiles Ephraim is correct, that only through the Bris Milah are you able to learn Torah. So then, my Rebbe, who had the Bris Milah on Yud Tes Tishrei, at that moment, he became enabled to fulfill his tachlis, to fulfill the Lakach Neitzart of Limud HaTorah. Until that point, he had an Arlas Haguf and an Arlas Halev. So, Memela, according to the Oiles Ephraim, that could be the Oimek of what Reb Chaim Volozhiner meant, that there's a significance of Miyoim Liyoim from the Bris Milah. Not just because Bris Milah brings a person to Shleimus, but because the Bris Milah opens up the Chadrei Halev, Lahavinu, Lahaskel, the Yisaidas HaTorah, and if that's the case, that's why the Vilna Gaon was nifta miyayim liyayim of the Bris Milah. So to remember these 2 points, firstly, that the Bris Milah reminds us, it's a message to us that just like the shleimus of our guf came through Adam, it comes manually, it doesn't come mibeten, it doesn't come naturally from birth. So that's a reminder that the shleimus hanefesh as well, a person, it's biyodai lahashlim tzuras nafshay behechsher pu'uloisav, as the Sefer HaChinuch says in Mitzvah Milah and Mitzvah Beis. So that's a reminder that we have the ability. No one should ever think it's too hard to become a Muslim in Ruchnias. No, if you could become a Muslim in Gashmias, so Hashem is giving you the message that you could become a Muslim in Ruchnias as well. That's one yesod that Mitzvah Milah teaches us. Secondly is that the Mitzvah Milah enables us to reach that shleimus. The Mitzvah Milah helps a person connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's just like it's Meiseh the Arlas Haguf, it's also Meiseh the Arlas Halev, and that brings a person the ability to be able to steig in his ruchnias. So these 2 things are important messages to realize the chashivus of the Mitzvah Milah and to realize what the Milah does for us. But I just want to end with one last point about Mitzvah Milah, because the pasuk says at the end of the parasha, in also in Perek Yud Zayin, but in Pasuk Chav Gimel, it says that when Avram Avinu did the Milah, Vayamal es Besar Lasam, and all the Bnei Beisai, it says that he did it Be'etzem HaYoim Hazeh. And Rashi says, what does that mean that he did it Be'etzem HaYoim Hazeh? He did it mamish in the middle of the day, and he said, I'm not going to be afraid from all the Goyim and all the Leitzanim that would say, Ilu Ra'inu, if we would have seen him do the Bris Milah, Lo Hinachnuhu Lama, we would never have let him do the Bris Milah. Ulakayim Mitzvah Shal Makam. So therefore he did it to show that no one's going to be able to stand in my way. And the question is, Avram Avinu was Makayim Kol HaTorah Kula, as the Mishnah says in Kedushin Daf Pei Beis Amud Aleph, and no one had a problem with that, it seems. No one was standing there and saying, we're not going to let you do the mitzvah. Specifically by Bris Milah, it seems that there was going to be people that were going to say that, no, I'm not going to let Avram Avinu do the Bris Milah, and Avram did it Be'etzem HaYom Hazeh to show that these people won't have koyach. Well, what's the pshat? Why would someone have stood in the way of Avram Avinu of being Mekayim the Bris Milah? And the Yesod HaDvarim I heard from Rav Tzvi Berkowitz Shlita, one of the Rosh Yeshiva in Ner Yisrael, the son-in-law of Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky Shlita. So he said once at a simcha in Parshas Lech that I was zoicha to be at, that there was a very tifezach going on over here. We know that the world was created with Ra and Toiv, a force of bad and a force of good, but that wasn't a separate entity, Ra and Toiv. It was all in Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon had everything inside of him. But once there was a chait, once Adam HaRishon was chayte, then the Ramchal explains that Ra and Toiv became two separate forces in the Bria. The Ramchal is in Derech Hashem, Chelik Beis, Perek Dalid, Ois Gimel, where he has an arichos about this. And in every generation there was an Adam HaToiv, and that made it until Noach, and then until Avram Avinu. There was always that one person who represented the hemshech of the good of Adam, and the rest of the generation represented the Ra, the bad of Adam. And then in Avram Avinu's time, Avram was chosen to be that Adam HaToiv, and then in Avram's children it was Ki Yitzchak, Ki Kari L'Chazara, and not Yishmael. And it was only Be Yitzchak, V'loi Kol Yitzchak, that it was Yaakov and not Esav. And then eventually the Shvatim, the Shiftei Kol, were all separated from the rest of the world to be the hemshech of that Adam HaRishon, the toiv, the good part of Adam HaRishon, as a continuation of Avram Avinu. And that's why Chazal say, Atem kruyim Adam, Klal Yisrael is called Adam, V'loi umay sa'olam kruyim Adam. That Goyim are not called Adam because the good of Adam, the tachlis of the Adam, the hemshech of that is in Avram Avinu, in Yitzchak, in Yaakov, and the Shvatim, and the rest of the world, although they are human beings, but they are not that Adam HaToiv, they are not the continuation of that Adam HaToiv. That's the Tifi Yesod that the Ramchal discusses in Derech Hashem. But Avram Avinu, with his Bris Milah, was separated from the world to be chosen. The Lashon of Bris, the Sefer Haksava HaKabbalah, the Talmud of Rabbi Kiva Eger, in Perek Tezvav, Pasuk Yud Ches, says that the Lashon of Bris is a Lashon of Breira, of choosing, of selecting. Avram Avinu was chosen, Hisalech Lefanai, you should be the one to walk in front of me, Ve'yei Samim, you will be complete. So it wasn't just Stam a mitzvah, like other mitzvahs that Avram Avinu was Mekayim, but with the mitzvah of Bris Milah, Avram Avinu was separated to represent the Adam HaToiv, him and his generations, to the exclusion of the rest of the world. And if that's the case, said Rav Tzvi Berkowitz Shlita, that could be the reason that the Goyim would have argued and the Goyim would have stood in the way and protested the Kiyah Mitzvah Bris Milah, not just because he's being Mekayim the Mitzvah Samakam, but because he is now being chosen with the Bris Milah to be that Hemshech of the Adam HaToiv and to be the chosen, the prized person in that mitzvah of not only the Mitzvah Bris Milah, but to be the Hemshech of that Adam HaToiv for Avram Avinu and his generations. So if that's the case, we have to understand that we as Bnei Avram and Bnei Yitzchak, Bnei Yaakov, Bnei the Shvatim, we have that in us. We carry the banner of the Adam HaToiv. It's a great schus that we have in our genes, in our DNA, that we come from Avram Avinu. But it's also a big achrayus. We have to act differently in the street. We have to be Makadosh Shem Shamayim because we represent the Toiv part of Adam HaRishon, and that was Chal through the Bris Milah, the mitzvah of Milah of Avram Avinu. So, in conclusion, in summary, we just have to look at this mitzvah Bris Milah and not say, oh, Stam, it's another mitzvah that the Moyalim take care of, and by 8 days old, we're already finished with the Milah. No, the message of Bris Milah is a message for a lifetime, that it's possible for a person to be mashlim tzuras nafshay, to bring shleimus in his ruchnius, just like the Moyal was able to accomplish the shleimus in the baby's guf. It's biyadai, it's biyadenu, to be mashlim the tzuras nafshay through hechsher p'ulaisav, through our steiging in this world. It's not only a message for us, but also the Bris Milah enables a person to reach the higher madregas in Torah and in mitzvahs, and that's why Rabbi Akiva Eiger said the grandfather has a special connection to the mitzvah of Bris Milah, because if he's chayiv to teach his grandson Torah, so then he's chayiv to be responsible that the child has a Bris Milah, which will enable him to learn Torah. And then the final message that we see from Be'etzem Hayom Hazeh, that if the Goyim would have opposed the Bris Milah, that shows us the great breira, the great selection that Avram Avinu was selected at that moment when he was chosen to do the mitzvah of Bris Milah. And we as Bnei Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov carry that banner of the Adam HaToiv that the Bria was created for. And if we represent that, we have the schus, but we also have the responsibility to live up to that. And hopefully, if we internalize these messages, we'll be able to reach great heights in Torah and Avodas Hashem and bring shleimus to our neshama throughout our entire lives.